Support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum. Located in Jennings City Hall, the museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is a historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. Additional support provided by the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting and viewers like you.
Louisiana's greatest days lie ahead.
The governor and the possibilities a big new tech firm brings to our state.
The last 3 years you can refer to as, I think, a crisis management period.
How the crisis is being managed after the fall of oil prices.
I'm kind of curious as to why you put my chair next to the three former dead governors.
The personality of former Governor Edwin Edwards still going strong. Hi everyone, I'm Andre Morrow. In a moment, a look at each of those stories. But right now on the state we're in, this week's other headlines. Airport commissioners selected the Lafayette-based Lemoyne Company and Manhattan Construction of Houston as chief contractors for the Lafayette Regional Airport construction project. The total cost of the new terminal and surrounding infrastructure is about $120 million. It's expected to be completed in 2022. Governor John Bel Edwards says the CPRA is getting another $2.2 million from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. It's for the completion of the East Timbaleer Island project design. That brings the total to almost $8 million from the NFWF for the project. East Timbaleer is in Terrebonne Parish, about 60 miles southwest of New Orleans. Darius Washington, a 16-year-old student at Neville High School in Monroe, earned a rare perfect ACT score of 36. His advice to other students: don't stress out and manage your time wisely to make sure you answer all the questions. Washington plans to attend ULM and major in computer science.
Selling here at Christie's, $400 million is the bid.
The mysterious Louisiana connection to the record bid at Christie's auction house in New York Wednesday night. It surrounds this painting by Leonardo da Vinci. 12 years ago, it sold at a Louisiana auction house for $10,000, though legal documents do not specify which auction house. Back then, the art, obscured by time and brushstrokes of later artists, was thought to have been painted by a member of Leonardo's school. In the years since, it was cleaned and authenticated, and Wednesday night sold for a record $450.3 million. The purchase of Da Vinci's Portrait of Christ, Salvator Mundi, shattered the high for any work of art sold at auction. Saturday, November 18th, is the statewide runoff for state treasurer. New Orleans elects a new mayor, and Baton Rouge votes for a hotel tax paid only by those who book rooms in Baton Rouge hotels. Voter turnout, though, is expected to be very low. You hear phrases like game changer tossed around, sometimes in public relations. Sometimes it's legit, and sometimes it's not. Well, state leaders were bursting with excitement about an announcement coming out of New Orleans this week. And they say that if the phrase game changer ever applied, well, this is it. Build as big, the official word came from the large group of state, city, and business leaders assembled under tents outside the Superdome. This announcement was said to be something that would have a major impact on not only New Orleans, but also the state. Governor John Bel Edwards looked downright giddy.
This will be a victory that we're going to celebrate for a long time to come. And we're going to look back at New Orleans' tricentennial year as a true turning point for the city and an era of new greatness for the state of Louisiana.
The buzz is being generated by the news that DXC Technology, the world's leading independent end-to-end IT services company, was establishing a digital transformation center in Louisiana. Leaders say it will create about 2,000 direct jobs in the Crescent City in the next 5 years.
And one of the reasons why we won this competition, we won a competition. This was not a gimme. There were 30 other states that were involved in wanting a piece of this business, Dave, correct? And when we started putting this city back together, we talked about rebuilding the schools so that we rebuild the knowledge-based economy. We rebuilt the healthcare delivery system. Last week, we talked about 3.2 miles of contiguous riverfront with 6 particular projects that are going to rebuild the riverfront with the Four Seasons. The University Medical Center, the VA hospital, the brand new airport. When they started looking around the country, they saw something in us that sometimes we don't see in ourselves, which is a city that's ascending, a city that has become this nation's most immediate laboratory for innovation and change.
A major piece of this partnership is what it means for colleges and universities statewide. In the New Orleans region, that includes LSU, Southeastern, UNO, and Delgado Community College. The plan is to recruit talent, develop technology and educational programs, and provide ongoing learning and development opportunities.
Their biggest question was about the commitment to the state of Louisiana for a talent pipeline that would give them the confidence of knowing that this investment was one that was worthy, that would work. They needed to know we were committed to our higher education systems, community technical colleges, and our four-year universities, so that they would have employees who knew what they needed to know and could do what they needed them to do. I assured them that we were committed to higher education, and that certainly played out over the course of last session when we came out better than we have in a decade in funding higher education and also in fully funding the TOPS program.
The fight to keep funding for higher education has been a battle for schools like LSU, but this day, this announcement represented a sweet victory.
DXC is going to be has been working closely with us to identify places on campus where not only can they recruit a lot of our talented graduates, but so the research and development, the R&D that they have, and they're going to be investing in over and over again, they'll be doing that on our campus with our faculty, with our students. It'll be a wonderful working partnership between DXC and LSU, and certainly other higher education institutions.
We're going to move aggressively to support this project. But we're going to move aggressively across the entire state to continue to build a vibrant economy in Louisiana.
And with me now is LAD Secretary Don Pearson to talk about what was hailed as one of the largest single announcements in Louisiana history. I couldn't wait to hear what was going to happen. And then when I heard DXC Technologies, I had to think, well, that's not a name that jumps off the page. But I love the way you gave a tutorial at the beginning with the digital transformation services.
Yes, it's certainly not a household name, DXC Technologies, but it's going to become one. The reason it's not a household name today is it was formed in April of 2017. It's a new company, but it's a new company that was formed by two very, very significant companies that command tremendous market presence in the information technology business. Computer Sciences Corporation, which people know for cybersecurity, right, and a division of Hewlett-Packard, another name that people are quite familiar with. So as they merged, they become a top Fortune 250 company with tremendous global reach. So DXC Technologies, a name that people will come to know well.
It's a big deal for New Orleans and Louisiana, to say the least, huh?
Absolutely, on several levels, and we should speak about those over the course of our conversation. And I would argue that it's not only a big deal for New Orleans and Southeast Louisiana and the I-10 corridor, but it's a big deal for all of Louisiana.
What's most important about it?
The elements here are driving a very important element of the economy of the future.
Of the future, a glimpse into the future, right?
And say from our perspective in the profession of Louisiana's economic development execution strategies, we want to do a great job with our traditional industries, agriculture, oil and gas, manufacturing, forestry, lots of strengths in our economy. We need to manage, maintain, and grow those elements. But we also have to be looking a bit over the horizon. What do we need to make sure we embrace so that 10 years from now we don't wake up and find out we were left behind? This cements a great future for our state in this whole realm of information technology, and it leads into this idea of a tutorial about, hey, wait a minute, what is a digital transformation center? You can see it perhaps at your doctor's office or your attorney's office or your CPA. They've all gone paperless, okay? They've gone digital. And that begins a building block. But it's accelerated way past that now, not just in small business, but in big business and in the way that corporations conduct their businesses. So now you have everything from facial recognition to the police have license plate readers. There's hundreds of different types of new technologies that we could talk about. And the idea is to harness these different types of technologies, use that digital information, and develop it into software applications that bring about whole new products, services, ways of doing business, and keep companies competitive not only domestically but globally.
All right, it's definitely what's coming, the wave of the future and the present, but where we need to look. The state has offered, New Orleans has offered incentives for this, of course. How large of incentives for this company to come here?
The biggest thing that we did was pledge $25 million to our educational institutions. And we need to have a conversation a bit about that. We also pledged some funds to help them get their physical location established. We also have a program embedded in law called our Quality Jobs Program that over time gives a payroll rebate, but only after there's an audit and there's accountability that's for Louisiana citizens that are living here. And if their numbers are shorter than what they pledged, their rebate will be smaller than what they expected. If their numbers exceed their requirements, then they get the benefit of that same percentage being applied there. We also made available the nation's #1 workforce training program, Fast Start, which is a unique opportunity that they will enjoy for 8 years running. We've won that Super Bowl trophy.
Right.
And so that becomes an important element.
You know, one thing when an announcement like this is made, there's a lot of hyperbole and a lot of promise, and it seems like a big deal. It often falls short. IBM, for example, in Baton Rouge, which has been very good, but has fallen short of the expectations so far. Where is that, for example? I know there are a lot of jobs being offered there. They're trying to catch up.
Well, I would just correct one word, and that is we don't find that that we have these shortcomings often, but they do occur. They occur for many reasons. A company like IBM has the ability, they operate a lot of work centers. I feel confident that they'll begin to shift more work into this market and they'll meet their obligations. But if they don't, we are prepared with these kinds of contractual obligations that they have to enforce them. And if that means going to court, we will and we can. It's an unusual circumstance. Usually these major corporations want to honor their obligations, and even when they fall short, they bring the money to the table.
All right, give us anything else coming that you can tell us about. And some other parts of the state too, perhaps.
Well, absolutely. Maybe on two fronts I could speak to that. First of all, I want to speak to a growing segment of this digital transformation kind of companies. What people need to understand, why DXC becomes such a big deal, is that it's been a long-term strategy. We've worked at this for the last 10 years. We've had success. We have CSRA up in Shreveport-Bossier. We have CenturyLink and IBM paired over in Monroe. We have CGI, a graphics and cybersecurity company, over in Lafayette. Of course, we have IBM here, GE Digital, now reinforced by DXC Technologies in New Orleans. Again, speaking back to, well, let's be diverse in our state. Let's not get all our eggs in one basket. We also have some great opportunities coming our way out there in aviation, in water management, and in advanced manufacturing. So we're moving on all fronts in a very exciting way.
All right. Hey, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
Very good. Thanks so much, sir. We want to check now on areas of the state hit hard by the drop of oil prices. Lafayette and Houma, two of the hardest hit. New Iberia also. LPB's Kelly Spires went to New Iberia to speak with business owners there. Kelly?
Thanks, Andre. New Iberia is in the Lafayette metro statistical area. The decline has slowed, but it hasn't recovered yet. Tonight's segment is part of Chasing the Dream, Poverty and Opportunity in America, an ongoing public media reporting initiative.
Over $250 million worth of offshore vessels are tied up, stacked at the port of New Iberia. Craig Romero is executive director of the port.
The price of a barrel of oil dictates what goes on where we live. It's a domino effect on our economy.
And in 2014, that price of oil was in free fall, crashing from over $100 per barrel to about $30 in 2015.
The last 3 years you can refer to as, I think, a crisis management period. You have to really think out the box to keep things going.
The owner of some of those boats is a company called Seatram, headed by Blake Miguez.
We're just trying to keep our good people still employed, keep anybody that we can employ, and trying to keep the door open. So we're very much in survival mode. We've asked for concessions from our vendors. We've asked for concessions from our banking institutes. We are trying to operate as thinly as possible, but it's just not sustainable.
Miguez and others in the boat business would deliver and pick up supplies, personnel, and equipment, ferrying them to and from platforms drilling for oil offshore. When the price of oil is low, there's no drilling. And when there's no drilling, there's no need for delivery boats.
The first thing that happens is there's no work for the vessels that we have, or a portion of our fleet. So those boats have to be stacked. You see a lot of the boats being tied up and down the bayous. And every time you see one of those boats tied up, that may be anywhere from 6 to 12 jobs, depending on the size of the vessel, that go away overnight.
And it's not just the boat business that's hurting. Acadiana has many companies that make and maintain parts for rigs, build piping, and even provide catering to workers. All of these were hit, and that adds up for an area. Lauren Scott is an economist.
If you look at how many jobs were lost in the United States during what we call the Great Recession, and we always thought that was a horrible period, between 2008 and 2009, the national economy fell 6.1%. Homa has fallen 16.4%, and Lafayette's fallen almost 11%.
And they're not through falling.
They're still falling this year. They will probably fall into 18 on the net before they start to come back.
The question is, Miguez says, when will the price of oil come back? It's rebounded and leveled off, but it's not high enough for platforms in the Gulf to break even. That's an industry term that means covering their cost plus 15%.
So once you do that, you're cool. So right now, the price of oil is 54. If your break-even point in the Permian play is 30, man, no wonder the rig count is up out there, right? I mean, they're making good money right now.
Another part of the picture is something called fracking. It's a kind of inland drilling that's much cheaper to execute. It's what's done in the Permian play in Texas. To break even and do well in the Gulf, oil has to be closer to $60 a barrel. But there is a silver lining that keeps the Gulf attractive.
If I drill in the Permian play, the first year I'm going to get 1,100 barrels a day, but then it's going to drop like a rock, okay, and it drops fast over the first 2 years. If I drill in the Gulf of Mexico, instead of getting 1,100 barrels a day, I get 14,000 barrels a day, and the decline curve is real shallow.
It takes long-term planning to build a deep-water rig, and right now, a long-term bounce-back in price is something Shell Oil is banking on.
This is what they refer to as the process modules for the Shell Appomattox project, which is Shell Oil's largest project on Earth currently.
They're building one of the largest rigs ever, and back at the port of Iberia, that means jobs.
It's started out as a $17 billion project, but through cost reduction efforts, all of the subcontractors and contractors that worked on the project reduced that cost by about 25% over the last year and a half.
Another help is that Miguez's business and other companies have been through this before. Many have been in the family for generations, so they learned the lessons of the oil crash in the 1980s.
And they're not wasting any time. They know that they need to make the cuts, they need to find efficiencies, they need to consolidate, they need to learn how to operate in this environment a lot quicker, and they reacted a lot quicker. And because they've done that and they've been so resilient, I think they'll last a lot longer.
And like Romero says, companies are thinking out of the box. One of these boat owners cut his staff back to one person for half a day, just to make sure the boats are fully functional on the off chance he gets a call to run out into the Gulf. Other boats here have been repossessed by the bank.
This guy created a whole new niche business, and now he's taken a fleet of boats that the bank has repossessed. And his man that was working a half a day is now working all day, every day, running the boats for the bank.
This is what Cajuns do, Miguez says. They find a way.
Tough times never last, but tough people do. We're going to get out of this.
Another complication, when the price of oil crashed, that sent tax collections on oil through the floor. For that and other reasons, lawmakers are also dealing with a budget crisis at the Capitol. Miguez is a state representative. He wants his fellow lawmakers to understand the tight belts in Acadiana before they try to bridge the shortfall by raising taxes. LPB will be following that story as well. Andre?
All right, Kelly, thank you so much for that. And funding for Chasing the Dream is provided by the JPB Foundation and also the Ford Foundation. Wildlife experts released 12 juvenile whooping cranes into the state's Rockefeller Refuge this past Tuesday. Now, part of it is an ongoing effort to protect the species from extinction. The near extinction is occurring from hunting and habitat loss. The deer population is also seeing a decline from urbanization and timber practices. Louisiana Public Square will explore this challenge and others facing Louisiana sportsmen. Expansive Catahoula Lake may soon be off limits to hunters and anglers if an August court ruling stands. And more fishermen are finding conflicts with private property owners when navigating coastal waterways.
Prominent good fishing areas that have been free and accessible to the public for years in the past are now becoming more and more less accessible.
If it's a private waterway and you want to fish it, there are a number of ways you can do it. You can lease it, you can get a permit. Some landowners actually allow access, they just have to be contacted.
Louisiana Sportsman's Paradise or Problem airs Wednesday, November 22nd at 7 p.m. on LPB and in New Orleans on WLAE. It also repeats on LPB Thanksgiving night at 11 p.m. You can go to lpb.org/public square for more information. This past weekend, the governor and first lady hosted a first ever event at the Louisiana Governor's Mansion. They invited all former living governors, their families, and staff members for an afternoon get-together. Each governor received a rocking chair with their name and years served etched on the spine. It was a day to tour the mansion, which is currently raising money for restorations, and a day to tell stories and share memories of growing up there.
The first weekend that we were here, I found a letter on my bed that my dad had written me, and it told me that this was the house of the people and that it was not the Holiday Inn, and that I was not to have people over, and that this was not a party place, and we took that very seriously. We had good times here, but we tried to be respectful of it.
We were like from North Louisiana, living on a farm, to all of a sudden, this is like Cinderella. And we just couldn't believe this was happening to us. We were not from the city. We had never lived in the city. So in addition to living in this beautiful mansion, we're now in the city, and we don't know anything about city life. Well, some of us embraced it more than others, and I will say I was one of the ones that loved it.
Each former governor spoke and reflected on their time as leader of the state, but four-term Governor Edwin Edwards stole the show with his humor, wit, and his greeting of each of the other honorees.
First, I want to thank Governor and Mrs. Edwards for hosting this. It's a great tribute to us, and we appreciate it very much. I'm kind of curious as to why you put my chair next to the three former dead governors. Governor Foster, I read the article in the paper this morning which referred to the fact that there were 4 ex-living governors and they named everybody but you. And I want you to know that many times when I wish the article had left my name out also. But you're probably the least criticized governor that I've known in my whole lifetime, and I guess you deserve it, but I'm very happy to see you and happy to see you here, Kathleen. I don't ever pray for myself, but I never hesitate to pray for deserving people, and I consider you to be one of them. Governor Jindal, I don't know much about you, but I'm happy to see you, and of course, Governor Roma, His father was my commissioner of administration for 8 years, and he doesn't like to remind people, but I helped him get elected to Congress and also to the convention in 1972 and 73. But I take it upon myself to remind people of that, buddy, even though you don't want to. I'm often asked how I'm getting along. I'll give you my stock answer. On my 90th birthday, Trina woke me up at 7 o'clock in the morning with a kiss and a cup of hot coffee, which I drank while I watched the news. At 7:30, I got up and dressed myself and dressed my 4-year-old son. And at 8 o'clock, I drove him to preschool. It don't get any better than that.
Former Governor Edwin Edwards. And that is our show for this week. Remember, you can watch LPB on demand on your phone or tablet with our LPB Anywhere app. The download is free from your app store. You can catch LPB news and public affairs shows as well as other Louisiana programs that you've come to enjoy over the years. And please like us on Facebook as well. For everyone at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Andre Morrow. Thanks for watching. Until next time, that's the state we're in.
Check us out on Facebook and Twitter and visit lpb.org where you can view more stories and leave us a comment. This program is available on DVD. Support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum. Located in Jennings City Hall, the museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is a historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. Additional support provided by the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting and viewers like you.